Okay, so on this video, I want to show you how you can scale your elements in the map, for example, a car, in the correct way so everything looks nice in your simulation and you know you have a good size of the cars in your map as they move around. So AnyLogic calculates automatically the size, and you have to define the scale of the map, and depending on the scale it chooses a fixed size, which is the one you see here, or a real size, which is the real size of the car in the map according to the scale of the map. So normally in almost all simulations you can use a fixed size, and since you don't zoom too much, the fixed size is generally okay. But if we run the simulation, you will see that you have a lot of cars going on and this size becomes just too big. So it's very confusing to see all this mess, right? So you need to change this. So maybe you want to see the real size immediately. Unfortunately, AnyLogic cannot do that. There's a bug in AnyLogic. Even though you see that the real size is applied here and the car is really small, when you run the simulation, AnyLogic doesn't care about your choices, so it shows the car in a fixed size anyways. So you need to understand that you need to begin with a fixed size no matter what. That's a given because AnyLogic works like that at this point. So how do you change this fixed size? Because in this case, it's just too big, right? You don't want such a big car, so the fixed size should be smaller. The right way of doing it is by changing the scale here. And this is really counterintuitive and you don't see it in the help documentation, so it's good to know that if you change this, the car becomes smaller and the fixed size is represented here. You could say that you can also change the additional scale here, but this actually messes up everything because when you put 25% and you zoom in into a real size, the scale will be applied. So even though you see the car smaller here, and this is the fixed size, when you zoom in into the real size, the car will be way too small. So this action doesn't work. So the way to do it is by changing here the scale. So if you change it to something that makes sense, then you can run the simulation and it already looks a little bit better, even though it's a bit of a mess because there are too many cars, but it looks better than before at least. So you can change the size as you want depending on your model, but this is the first thing. So if you zoom in, you will see this size always until you get to a place in which you're using actually the real size.